Well, hello again, my friend. My name is Jonathan Doyle. I am really pleased you are here. Welcome aboard. Please make sure you've subscribed. I love it when people do that. It's been great to see the program growing, and I'd love if you could share this with people as well. Go and check out the links here. There's a whole bunch of good stuff. You can book me to speak. You can book me for coaching. You can check out my social links. They are all under here. All right, let's jump in. I want to talk to you about clarity. One of the questions I often encounter with people in a leadership or in a coaching context is people that don't quite know exactly what it is they want. There can be so many deep roots to this. You could be the kind of person who had trauma from your own childhood, right? And you were kind of told that you shouldn't go after this, or it's wrong to want things, or stop asking. I mean, most parents didn't go out of their way to be, to wreck you. They just kind of were busy living their life, parenting as best they could. Always in life, you got to remember that it isn't so much what happens to us, it's always the meaning that we extract from what happens to us. Often people can go through a traumatic event, or you can have several people, for example, going through a traumatic event. One person will never recover. They will develop many, many problems, anxieties, phobias perhaps, because of the traumatic event, and you'll have another person who switches a gear and just sees themselves as a survivor. I mean, the ultimate example, of course, is Viktor Frankl in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. So people do experience terrible things and are able to deliberately build a kind of cognitive architecture that allows them to move forward. So one of the first reasons we struggle with clarity is because we may have evolved to believe that desire is essentially problematic, that it's wrong to want. You'll often find this in people who've grown up in a strong spiritual tradition. I struggled with this for many years, that to be spiritual is to love poverty. I mean, poverty essentially from a spiritual perspective is something that God calls specific people to embrace. He doesn't deliberately go out there and say, hey, everybody get as poor as you possibly can, right? For example, the more that you generate in terms of revenue, the more generous you can tend to be, right? So sometimes we get our spiritual wires crossed. We think that it's wrong to desire, to want. But then what you have to do is look around you, right? Look at the cosmos itself. Look at nature. It's super abundant, right? It's just a generous gift. It's this vast gift from the Creator. So it's like God wants to give you this cosmos, these billions of stars and this physical reality that we inhabit. But when it comes to something you find interesting or something you desire, God's like, oh, don't want that. What are you doing? Stop it. Seriously. So we got to get that part sorted out first. One of the things that helps me with that is, as a parent, I'll give you an example. I took some of you are going to judge me here, so leave something in the comments, but I took my son out on the weekend because his laptop had broken and it was an insurance job and he was getting a new one and he could upgrade it if he wanted. And so we go out to the computer store and he's very excited. He's still pretty young. And there was this choice between kind of the ideal computer, which was super lightweight with a long battery life, ideal for schoolwork. Then there was this other one. Now, whatever you do not send this video to Karen, all right? Do not, some of you know my wife, do not send this video to her. This is top secret. And my son, he kind of gravitated towards this other laptop, which had different features. Let's just say features more in keeping with being a young guy and just cool stuff and flashing screens and keyboards that lit up. And I could see this trepidation in his face. He was like, oh, Dad, I really like this one. And he was waiting for the whole, what? You want this one? No. Do not want thing. And it was this quite beautiful moment where I said, hey, man, seriously, look, is it going to do what you need it to do? Will the school be ringing me saying it doesn't work? He said, no, Dad, it'll do it, but it'll also do all this other cool stuff. My music editing and all this stuff. I said, dude, it's a no-brainer. Just go with what you want. We kind of had this discussion where I just wanted to bless him. I just wanted to see him joyful. I know some of you are going to judge me and say, well, that's not parenting. You're not his best friend. Well, put in the comments, all right? But I just wanted to bless him. And I'm telling you this story because I think in many ways, that's how God operates, right? That's how God operates. He wants to bless you. So when it comes to clarity, I just want to say to you today that you're allowed to desire. You're allowed to want things. I mean, why would all this cool stuff exist if you couldn't desire it? Now, that's different to consumerism, which I think replaces spiritual values with material value. All right, so we want to get this balance right, but I've always come at it from the aesthetic point of view, that I actually find beautiful things quite beautiful and I really enjoy them. They bring a lot of joy. So work it out. So on this clarity piece, if you are the kind of person that you kind of want to grow and develop, but you're not sure exactly which direction to go. Let me give you a couple of things I can offer. One, if you had a magic wand, like if I could frame this question for you, if you had a magic wand and you could pretty much have anything that you wanted, right? You could say you win the lottery or you get a magic wand. If you could have anything you wanted, what would that be for you? I mean, what would your life genuinely look like? You've got to do that work first. And always remember, it's never about the thing, right? It's always about the value that the thing represents. See, I've got my eye at the moment on getting a custom built titanium racing bike because I ride so much and titanium's awesome, and getting a full custom build is just the best, and it's just beautiful. And I think, why do I want that? What is it about me? Well, I love training, sure. I love being outdoors. But I love beautiful, high-value things that last for a lifetime. And I think that a bike for me represents freedom. It represents freedom and solitude. These are values that I really like. I actually like solitude, long rides. So I'm saying to you on the clarity piece that also remember that within whatever it is you desire, there is another value there. There's a higher value. So when you're trying to get clarity, first ask yourself what it is that you want, and then get in touch with what you desire and what that represents. Whether it's freedom, whether it's love, whether it's connection, whether it's joy. Because at the end of the day, it's never really the thing. People are like, well, I want $100 million. I go, well, when you get that, what do you get? Well, I'll buy all this stuff and it'll be awesome and I'll have this house and these cars. And then what will you get? Well, I'll spend all this time with my friends and my family and I won't be stressed. And what will that give you? And they're like, well, I'll be peaceful and happy and I'd relax and I'd be more joyful and more present. And you see that it's not the money that they're after. It's the values and the personality traits that the money could theoretically unleash. So try that piece about if you had a magic wand, if you had $100 million, what would you go after? What would you experience? And what does it represent for you? And like a final thing, years ago, I did a podcast called Going to Fiji, which was, imagine that you win a prize unexpectedly and you have to leave for Fiji, in a few days. What sort of things would you want to get squared away? What sort of things do you need fixed, or what sort of things do you want to take care of before you leave? What this does is it turns your attention to the more immediate things that you maybe not dealing with, things that you need fixed or out of your way, that if you did them first would give you some freedom and some peace, right? And I guess what that metaphor is doing is saying, if time was short, if you had to pick some significant things that really need to get done, what would they be? All right, that's my thoughts on clarity for today. You're allowed to desire. Your desires are unique to you. You're not bad for desiring. And I also think finally on the clarity piece that the more you get clear, the more you go after what really matters, you tend to become a happier. So I want to free you from that selfishness piece that you're like, well, if I go after this and if I want this, I'm selfish. Now, you're only selfish if your drive towards your desires damages your relationship with yourself, with God, with other people. But going after them can often liberate you, increase your energy, and inspire the people around you. All right, there's a lot in that today. I hope some of it's useful. Hit the subscribe button. Go and check out all the other links. Book me to speak. It's all there. My name's Jonathan Doyle. You and I are going to talk again very soon.